Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Sam Zagar. Today I'm going to be talking about how human design has helped me play with, understand, and work with a very recent ADHD diagnosis. The thing I want to acknowledge right off the bat is there is no ADHD in human design. And I am not saying that according to human design, ADHD does not exist. That is not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I have a human design, I have my body graph, I have the way that I'm mechanically shown to be able to interact with the world around me. But then I also have the way in which society perceives me, perceives the issues and struggles that I have, and attempts to give me some type of label that helps other people to also understand how I am, what I struggle with, how to interact with me. Now, one of my questions is, are the things that work for my design also things that would help alleviate the symptoms of ADHD? Now, it's interesting also for me to say like ADHD diagnosis, because in order for me to have an ADHD diagnosis, I went to a psychiatrist. I talked to two different psychiatrists and a regular doctor over the course of a year. There were a variety of things that they thought I might be best labeled as, and ultimately we landed on ADHD. There was no biological test to prove or not prove whether or not I have ADHD. There was no like blood test or urine test or spit test or hair test. Like there wasn't anything that said like, we're testing dopamine levels and you don't have enough of them, so here's what, your body needs for chemistry. It's the assumption that based on the way that I behave and present myself, that I look like I'm lacking in dopamine or that I'm hunting for dopamine. And there are ways in which to manage that. So if you look at how to manage ADHD, but then I also look at how to manage my design. One of my favorite things to think about at this point in my experiment is where things line up and where they don't. There are a lot of people that are diagnosed ADHD that have entirely opposite mechanical definition from me. For example, I cannot say that being a quad left variable makes me ADHD when I also know people who are quad right variables and they are also diagnosed with ADHD. I look at the fact that I have an undefined head, pressure center, undefined root, pressure center. When I look at symptomatically how that not self might show up in my life, I can see how that looks a lot like a dysregulated person with ADHD. I am absolutely not saying that if you have this, you have this. I'm sharing my own awareness of dots I've connected. One of the things that felt really important for me as I moved through this was when people would suggest ways in which I could manage myself or deal with myself, how much of that was actually going to be healthy for me and help me to further differentiate. And how much of that is homogenizing me and trying to just like make me non-disruptive. How much of it is meant to almost like sedate me into being normal. When I was first diagnosed ADHD at the age of 33, I recognized that I had been a marijuana smoker for the majority of my life. From 17 and onward, I have used marijuana to regulate myself. I'm someone with a strong herbal medicine background, a natural medicine background. I had a herbal company. I wouldn't say that I was against medication, but I was incredibly suspicious about medication. And I'm always aware of whether or not the medication is going to offset something else in the body that's going to create a secondary problem. Like perhaps taking ADHD medication helps balance my energy and my anxiety and my focus, but maybe it also slowly adds toxins into my liver that I'm also going to have to be aware of, or there's going to be further problems. It took me about 4 months of having an ADHD diagnosis in order to ask to try medication. And the first one I tried was a version of Adderall. I didn't like it that much. It was too stimulating and it came on too fast and it went off too fast. I requested to my doctor to try something different. So again, let's look at some of the mechanics. I'm a third line personality. So there is this, I'll try again, I'll try again, I'll try again. Let's see what works. Will I land on something that works better than other things? Sometimes I think that the medication that they gave me works really well. I take it most days. You know, out of 100 days, I probably take my medication 90 of those days, and the other 10 days, I take a day off. And the only reason I take a day off is to see what it feels like to have an unmedicated day. One of the things that tends to go wrong on an unmedicated day, I burn things really easily. If I maintain a focus on something, I am brilliant. Truly, I want to acknowledge my own intelligence. I'm a really smart person, really smart. Being ADHD has never made me feel stupid. In fact, it almost makes me feel too smart because my brain is smart in this direction and then also smart in this direction and then also smart in this direction. And I'm having these like incredibly intelligent, complex thoughts. But then I forgot that I was, you know, frying bacon or something, and I burn it all. The frequency with which I burn things when I'm unmedicated is one of the things that makes me believe there is something to be said for the medication maybe working. No matter what, though, there's always this awareness in me that goes, is there something better? Can I prove that something better works? Defined ego gate 26. Better, 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 improve, improve. Prove. Can I prove that there might be an improved product out there that would be better for me? Also, my channel has the question of immunity. Anything that is better is in theory healthier. Now again, I'm going to bring human design mechanics into this, and I'm going to bring one that I had a bit of a struggle with. As a projector, I'm here to wait to be recognized and invited. You're watching this on a YouTube channel. I got one of my first recognition and invitations for a possible sponsorship opportunity. It's for a product that claims it can help you with ADHD symptoms. It is in no way making any claims that it's like here to replace your medication or anything like that. But it says one of the things it can help with are ADHD symptoms. That got my attention, that got my focus. That was in line with who I am, what I talk about, what I share about, and I was like, oh, also like projector, like, I got recognized, I got invited. What's the compensation here? What do they want from me? What's the bargain? Is this gonna be a good fit for me? I need to try. I don't promote anything that I haven't actually tried and enjoyed. Now, one of the interesting things that happened is as soon as I was recognized and invited into this, I had a perfectionist quality come out that said, Sam, the ingredients in this thing, there's more than one of them. So yeah, as a consecutive person, I'm meant to be one ingredient at a time, but the thing that trumps that is strategy and authority. Recognized, invited, and compensated. So when I was recognized, invited, and compensated into trying a sponsorship thing, I thought, this is strategy and authority. I don't have a spleen says no. In fact, I wouldn't actually have a spleen says no until that product made its way to me. I opened it and went to drink it. And if it was not good for me to drink it in that moment, my body would go, actually no. Or I would drink it and I would spit it out. None of those things happened. So does it matter that it's not one ingredient? Does it matter that I was recognized and invited? These are really interesting things for me to play with. I try not to be in the mind. even if this experiment doesn't work, that's valuable information for me to know within the context of the human design experiment. And so rather than saying no, I said, let's try. Send me the product. Let's see. If you're okay with me only sharing it if I like it, great. That's the kind of bargain I can manage. So they sent me the product. They sent me 15 days worth. The bargain is that I need to drink it every day to see how I like it. Today I'm on day 9 of this, and I'll be honest, my mind doesn't think about drinking it, but I am at the point where daily I observe myself like go to the fridge and get the bottle, go to the fridge and get the bottle. So there's a habit that's already built in for it. There's a want for it. I can imagine the taste of the drink now without actually drinking it, so I can tell that a craving is starting to establish with it. And I will also say that throughout the days that I have been drinking Magic Mind, that's what it's called, throughout the days that I have been drinking this, I haven't wanted to double my ADHD meds. On the days that I have very intense focus days, like this is a focus day, this is an intense filming and recording day, I'm gonna use so much of my mental capacity. I typically will take 2 of my Vyvanse pills, which is 20 milligrams. Each one of my pills is 10 milligrams. I'm on an incredibly low dose. But on my filming days, I typically would double them. This is my 2nd week of filming while doing the Magic Mind little challenge that I'm in. And I've only been taking 1 of my pills every day. And I'm feeling pretty good. And my Aura Ring checks my stats all day. It's pretty good. I'm definitely hitting more regulated times than I am hitting stress times or recovery times. Now, as someone with taste cognition, like I have a pretty developed palate. I don't like a lot of mixed things. I like a lot of clean things. I'm really good at discerning like nuances in flavors. If you give me, you know, 2 different apple varieties, like a Honeycrisp and a Mac, I'm gonna be able to tell the difference. That to me is enough variety. When I drink this, the taste of this is, I'll be honest, it's very hard to describe. The first level is sweet, but not sweet that feels like artificial or anything. It's sweet, but it's like immediately kind of like sour tangy afterwards. But then there's like a brightness, a freshness. Almost spilled. It's smooth. Every part of my tongue gets a little bit of an activation. Every part of my palate is like, ooh, ooh. But it also has a bit of like a cleansing taste. Like if I have a coffee in the morning and then I have this like an hour later, like it feels like it's refreshed my mouth. And it has caffeine in it, but I'm not really stimulated by it. I don't really drink caffeine. Like I prefer decaf coffee. My Vyvanse medication is a natural stimulant, but as someone with ADHD, if I actually have ADHD, a stimulant should not be stimulating for me. A stimulant is kind of honestly calming for me. If I only take 1 or 2 of my Vyvanse, it has that calming feeling to me. If I were to take too much, it would be stimulating for me. So I've learned my limit with my Vyvanse medication. But these have a little bit of natural caffeine and I don't find them to be overly stimulating. I feel like there's enough ingredients in here that when you feel kind of like burnt out, run down, powering down, it's like there's these little tiny pockets in you to fill back up to like refortify you. And I feel like this hits enough of those little pockets. There's these other shots that you can buy and I like them, but I can never drink them for extended periods of time. Usually like a couple in a row and then I'm like, yeah, that's enough. And the taste hasn't been that good. Whereas these ones, I go to the fridge to like actually want to have these every day. So at this point, I'm definitely gonna continue trying these. How long can I try it before I'm like, no, I'm gonna continue drinking these. To be honest, I wish they were bigger. Like I could actually drink like a drink of these, not just a shot of these. The bottle's super cute. I will say though, one of the other ways that has been the most effective in dealing with either whatever my design is that presents as ADHD or whatever the ADHD actually is, if I look at my design to try and regulate this for myself or support myself, I tend to look very much at my undefined centers, in particular, undefined pressure centers. I know that my undefined root has more hanging activations than any other undefined center in my body graph, so of course that's one of my worst not self places for being in a hurry, being under stress, being under pressure, trying to do too much. Like, that sounds like ADHD. At least it sounds like what I would describe as problematic about ADHD. I will also say that during the summer months, things feel a little bit more challenging. I find that I need even more support because, especially as a non-energy type, in the summertime, the amount of daylight hours, I feel like there's this expectation that we have more energy to be doing more all day. Like, I'm so glad that summer is actually only a couple months because it really does tend to burn me out so fast. I'm so excited for the season, it feels so good, and yet at the same time when summer is over, I'm so ready for it because I feel like in many ways we double what we think that we're going to be capable of just because the length of time in the day is so much longer. The GoPro just died, which happens, and when it does, I have to take it inside and put it in the freezer because it overheats. As I did that, I went into the house and said good morning to my 3'5" pure MG son, Maven. I gave him a hug. Maven has smell cognition. He looks at me and goes, "Why do you smell like a funny strawberry?" That's apparently the smell on my breath after drinking the Magic Mind. I was like, I just had one of my little green drinks. He was like, "Ooh, they smell good." That was his response from his cognition. So there you go, another third line review, I guess. But as I was saying, in the summertime, it feels like there is so much pressure to get double the amount of things done because the window of time is so big. I know that I'm exhausted at the end of summer. I also know that I can be mentally kind of hard on myself because I wake up early, I try and get a few things done before it's too hot to be able to do things. Efficient. And yet, by like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it's not nap time, it's like bedtime. Like, especially as a non-energy type, it can really take a lot out of me. I have to be extra mindful of whether or not I truly have the will or the energy to do something, or whether or not I need to go rest, recalibrate, and can I actually be mindful enough to monitor that on a daily basis rather than waiting until I've pushed myself too hard, I've gotten to a place of burnout, and then I need to recover. I'm pretty good now at not wrecking myself and needing long recovery times, but it's taken a while to get to know myself, and it has taken not only, support from the medical system, but it's also taken a ton of awareness and empowerment from the human design system. If you're someone who has ADHD, or even just somebody who often feels overwhelmed, anxious, that they don't know how to focus, like, there are ways in which people are going to be able to help you. The regular world is still going to be able to help you, probably a lot. There's probably so much stuff that I consider to be like 5th level, as in practical and universal, that you might need. You might need support with, you might need empowerment through, you might need shared with you, you might need access to. But there are also parts of your design that other people aren't going to understand, especially people in the medical community. They're going to look at this and go, what the hell is this? If you're in human design, you're going to have to learn to advocate for yourself to some extent, but human design has likely given you the awareness of exactly what you're advocating for. I hope that this was helpful for you in some way, supportive in some way. This is a topic that I personally care quite a bit about, and I really like hearing about people's personal experiences. If you want to let me know in the comments below, or if you want to reach out to me, send me a DM on Instagram. I want to know what your design is, what your diagnosis is, what your experience of the two is. I'm not someone who claims to be like the authority on this subject. I don't even have a lot of information on the subject. If anything, I'm looking for information. I want to know what it feels like for you. I want to know what your experience has been. If you're willing to share that with me, I'd love to hear it. I'll catch you next time.